Good afternoon and welcome once again to Digital Toolkit 2022, the only place to get the latest tools, tips and advice to help your business grow online. Today's session's really exciting. We've got Dante St. James and Kay Ridge here to tell you all about how to grow your business with Facebook groups, which I'm sure everyone is hanging on to at the moment as far as getting the latest strategies to grow your business through the group. Now, I thought just to start with for today, we would like to acknowledge the entire eastern coast of Australia and the damages and just the sheer impact of the storms, the weather, the floods that have occurred across the east coast of Australia. Our hearts go out to all of you, and we hope that your families are safe and dry and that you guys can recover and rebuild after the waters go down. But if you do need some advice or help on what help might be out there, you can contact your local councils. I'm sure you've got a number of various people who are in every area ready to help you with advice on getting sandbags if you need them. If you're looking for some volunteers, perhaps, as far as I know, we've got Clean Up Australia Day coming up on, is it Saturday or Sunday? It is this weekend essentially, and they were urging people to wait for the cleanup until the Clean Up Australia Day. I know you can register for the, I think, is it the Queensland or Brisbane Mud Army? You can jump in and register for that, I think, on the council's website and volunteer to help your area clean up. So I think they're waiting until the end of the week because they need to wait for obviously the waters to recede and make sure it's safe for those who are actually coming out to help you to clean up. So again, our hearts go out to all of you, and we pray that everyone has a quick and safe recovery. So before we jump into the digital toolkit for today, I just want to thank you if you're taking some time out from cleaning up the mess from the floods, or if you're experiencing the heat that we've just had come over. If you're sitting in a nice air-conditioned office, lucky you, I'm sitting here with a fan. But in any case, we do enjoy having you guys join us, and I thought I might bring something that is a little different into your digital toolkit before we move over to the social stuff. So one of the things that I know and frequently come across, oh wow, really, that's there? We don't know what we don't know. So one of the scariest things during the weather we've just had is not knowing what levels the rivers are at, where is the flood zones and things like that, where is it affected. And it usually, the younger generation, I'm going to say, because as much as I hate to admit it, I do know people have gone out just to take a look at what's happening in the area. And the most important thing during the floods is to stay off the roads, right? If it's flooded, forget it. So what can you do when you can't go out on the roads? There's some tools that are available. I know Queensland has, across the various councils, you've got disaster dashboards. So I'm just going to share my screen. There we go. Okay, so can you see my screen, guys? All right, beautiful. So on your screen at the moment, you can see the Queensland government. If you Google Queensland disaster dashboards, you will get a disaster dashboard for every single council in Queensland. So what that means is it'll have a preparedness dashboard for you with lots of information. So I've opened up a few. You've got Logan City Council disaster dashboard here, giving you, how many hazards, road closed, weather warnings, power outages, evacuation centers, the work. So that's Logan. I'll come back to that one. Fraser Coast. So if you're, you know, in the Mary River area where I think you guys have suffered a couple of floodings this year. So this would have been a very useful tool, knowing which ways you can get in and out to some of those more rural areas. There's the seqwater.com.au. Gives you information, updated information about the dam releases, which is very obviously, you know, integral, especially if you're looking to, you know, work through transport lines as well, distribution centers and things like that for your business. You've got Redland Council has their disaster dashboard. Some of them are fairly, you know, consistent with the information that they have on there. Obviously, there's set things that we need to know, especially with the road hazards and weather warnings as such. But I just wanted to put a word out to Logan City Council how incredible theirs is, because they've actually brought on board the live flood zone cameras, and it was a really scary look at the flood zones cameras over the last week, because for the majority of that time, every one of these just about was covered in flooding area. So Woofting only a couple of days ago was right up to the top of the camera here at the top of the tree. I was you know, blown away just watching the turbulence of it all. So you've got the flood cameras, so you know what's potentially coming your way. But one of the more helpful things is obviously, you know, working out what's the height of the river in your area. So the closest one to us at the time was the Scrubby Creek wall of road. So I'm looking at this, I'm seeing the numbers, I'm like, what's that mean? That's gobbledygook. Unless I'm not gonna get down there with a meter rule or a you know, Stanley tape measure and measure the depth of the water and just, you know, check whether it's going up above my head or whatnot. No. Okay, well, what do we actually need to know? Is it actually going over the roads? Is it going to affect your house, your business? You can see on the table here, you've got a plot and a table of information. I like the plot. So, you know, apologies to my math teacher in Lately Say Hi. Once upon a time, I told her I'd never use this. What am I going to use it for? I'm not going to be, you know, in the sciences and mathematics. No. Well, actually, this was pretty incredible, because I actually knew how to read the map, the plot graph, sorry. And you can see here on the right, you've got the measurements of the road at 5.4 meters, and that shows in line with the major flood level and where the actual water levels were. And this is pretty accurate for your individual areas. So it was really quite useful. I would have had to essentially worry if it had gotten up to this road level, because this road level was pretty much where, you know, our house is. So it's a matter of, you know, watching this and, you know, gauging whether you need to evacuate as well, because there's some areas that didn't get evacuation warnings. But it was really quite helpful. A bit scary, but it never actually got to that point for us, luckily, but very, very, very informative. But as I said, you've got so many council areas who have put these together so you can get live information. These maps are interactive, and you can see the live, you know, roadblocks and hazards. Or I think these ones were the actual, like, you click on them and they tell you exactly what it is. So this is a flooding of the creek itself. So that creek is actually completely flooded. This simply means that there's waters on the road, there's lanes affected, but it's not entirely closed. You can still kind of get through. Is there anything that you guys wanted to add there at all? Because you know, it was pretty cool when I discovered those cameras and the river heights.
The only thing that I'd like to add in regards to this is, like most human beings, the only time that we want to really find out information is when it's too late. So the things that you need to be aware of are people like SES, where you can go and get sandbags, for example. Go and search for them online and find out where they are. You can have their number online. You can ring them and say, put sandbags aside. You can phone your councils and get information, because everything is linked through your councils, including what you need to do for insurance.
Definitely. Thanks, Kay. Dante, did you want to add anything on that with regards to the Northern Territory initiative?
We have like the same sort of disaster dashboards, not so much cameras, because we've got very few people in a very large area, so you can't have these facilities everywhere. But generally, Secure NT is the website to go to as part of the government's response to things like cyclone readiness and less to do floods. We don't get a lot of floods here unless it's way, way, way out of town, or it's happening in other states stopping us from getting supplies in. So it's mostly just around about cyclones, storm damage, and also earthquakes, because we actually get probably about 200 of them a year here. Just you don't feel them very much, or you sleep through them. But Secure NT is definitely the place to go to get that information.
Brilliant. Are you able to share the link for that in the chat there?
I'll do, yeah.
Yes, at some point. I just want to put in the links there for the Queensland one as well. There we go. All right, so without further ado, we've got the Digital Toolkit Facebook group session, and I'm going to hand it over to our main man, Dante St. James, to lead us in that session for today. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. And I'll probably call in on Kay as well, because Kay actually operates a very successful Facebook group. So I'd like to actually probably get some opinions along the way. We've got limited time, so I won't waste too much of it introducing myself or anything else. But this is mainly taken from Facebook's also Meta. We've got to call it Meta these days. The Meta set of blueprint articles that are to do with trying to make it easier for small businesses to learn more about their tools. So what we'll look at today is a little bit about defining it. There's a lot of pre-work I'm going to look at today, the things you should be doing before you even think about starting a group. Not just that, but we'll look then at some of the content decisions you'll make and some of the processes you might want to follow during it, and measuring success. What I'm not going to go into is sort of into the monitoring and the moderation of that. You can learn a lot more about that, and I might actually bring a little bit of that in with Kay, because I know that sometimes it can be a war zone out there when it comes to groups. Really interesting things will happen with it. So what we're going to start with is defining and establishing your community, the very beginning of the journey, where you're going, okay, why am I even starting this thing? And that isn't so much a group tools discussion as in a, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Why am I starting a group? Or am I just doing it because some coach said, oh yeah, you should start a group, which is unfortunately what so many small businesses get stuck with. Is Paige is not getting anything. A coach told me to start a group, and that's the way, that's what everyone's going to notice. They don't give you any idea on what to grow that group into, what the purpose of the group is. But groups in general in Facebook form around common interests, not businesses. They form around an interest. They form around a movement, and it's all about sharing and discussion rather than promoting a business or a product or so. So when we think of it like that, it kind of removes the pressure from us going, well, what do I talk about my business in my group? Like, who's going to be interested in my products or my services in a group? And then we wonder why nobody is. It's because we probably go in with the wrong attitude. We go in there saying, how can I sell my stuff to more people? Rather than actually, what's something that my customers or my followers have in common that they would like to, that's an area they'd like to discuss and be in a community with. They don't work well when they're formed around a product or a service, unless you're using it something like I know Kay does, which is an already engaged group of people that she uses the Facebook tools to be able to further engage and deepen the relationship with. This is more so where you say, okay, here's my product. We're going to have the Eclipse Mints group. So come and talk about all your experiences to do with Eclipse Mints. Probably not the most fascinating or the most engaged thing. But then there's groups that are formed around Kmart that are all across Australia. So that's one of those cases, but that shared interest isn't Kmart itself. It's not the Kmart fan club. What it is people who have spotting specials, trading deals with each other, spotting when things are in stock, which are really cheap, and using them for different purposes around their homes. Or things like the Kmart hacks, where you take, I don't know, a fruit bowl and turn it into a light fitting, or you take a curtain and turn it, you go all Sound of Music and you turn curtains into children's clothing, you know, all that sort of stuff that allows people to interact in the best, and it's that brings out the best of people around those products and services. But of course, the central thing of those things is not Kmart, it's about life hacks. And that's an interest that everybody on those groups seems to have. So when we continue to go through that period of like, do I, don't I, the first decision you're going to make is whether your group is going to be private or public. So is it going to be something which anybody can join and anyone can see, or is this something which you have to go through an approval process for people to come and join? And then also whether you want that group to be searchable and found by people who not necessarily invited to it, or do you want it to be unsearchable? For instance, a support group for your clients, or a deeper engagement group, or an instructional group where you're sharing learning materials to people who've paid specifically to be part of your group. You wouldn't want that to be a public group, because why would you give away all your knowledge to people who aren't paying for it? It's kind of a slap in the face to the people who do pay for it. And the searchable, unsearchable thing is quite simply, you don't necessarily want to let everyone know what you're doing in that group. So you might just go, okay, this is my proprietary knowledge, my techniques that I'm doing. I don't even want my competitors to know I've got this group going. Unless you're invited to that group, you won't even know it exists. Your first actions then, with all that, so you choose to be a private group, is to form things like group rules and the questions you want to ask when people come in. Now, a little trick here that a lot of early starters in groups get caught out on, a lot of you like to ask for email addresses. So you want to get that email address. You want to go, oh, I want the email address so I can engage with people through newsletters and through my CRM, through my HubSpot, through my Insightly, and all my software. So you can ask for the email address. There's nothing wrong with you doing that. The problem is, though, that once you approve that member coming in, you don't then have a repository of those email addresses. They don't sit in a little database somewhere for you to be able to extract. You have to pull them out every time someone comes in. Now, there's some tools which will allow you to do some sort of, not particularly legal or very healthy scraping of Facebook information in groups. But ultimately what you'd need to do, if you're asking for an email address coming into the group, grab that email address out now and whack it into your CRM, or whack it into your MailChimp, or wherever it is you want to engage with people through email. All the other questions, same thing, is that you don't get a repository of those answers after they've come through. So you, or your moderators, if there's more than one of you, are going to see those membership requests come in. And you're going to say, okay, are you in the city of Logan? And you go yes or no. No might be, it doesn't disqualify them, but allows you as the moderator to moderate whether you want someone outside Logan City to come into your group or not, or whether it's just the Logan Club and it's only for us Logan people and everyone else can go get stuffed. So it's those rules are going to be based around your membership questions. One of the most important rules to ask is, here's our rules. Are you going to abide by them? And I administer several groups I'm moderating for, and it's amazing how many people just won't answer that. If they don't answer it, they don't come in. We're very strict about that because we've got nothing to say that they have even cared or noticed what those rules are if they couldn't even fill out that form. So if they're not answering those questions, yeah, we just don't let them in. And if they go, oh, well, you didn't let me in, it's like, well, answer the questions. Not hard. They're right there in front of you. So that can be a bit of a mess. And moderation, as Kate will know, is something which takes time. And it can, on very large groups, be a very full-time thing. And there's certifications now for community management on Meta and Facebook that people can take to learn how to actually be managers of these communities. It's one of the fastest growing social media jobs is community management and community building, which is all done through Facebook groups. So that's something which is, over the pandemic particularly, become really big. Now, once you've worked out you're going to do this, it's like, well, we probably need to take a step back and go, why am I doing this again? Why am I doing a group? What's a group going to do? What am I going to do with a group? Well, really, you want to grow it. and you want to sustain it. So you want to build a community that's right for who you're trying to reach or who you're trying to work with. And then you grow that community and then you make it sustainable. Now, we get very excited with all new tools and we tend to go, oh, I'm all in on TikTok this month. I'm going to do everything on TikTok. I'm going to do 3 TikToks a day. That's all I'm going to do. And then within 6 weeks, we haven't opened up TikTok for 2 weeks. And we forgot that we ever actually had that as part of our strategy. Groups are the same. Get very excited at the beginning and we go, I'm going to set all this up. I'm going to have my rules, my monitors and my mentors and everything that's going to be in there. And I've got my content calendar. And then we kind of lose interest when people don't seem to respond too much with it. It's just human nature. The first thing they probably do is then think of a title for your group that's somehow appropriate, somehow memorable and relevant to what it is you're actually trying to do with that group. So if it's a Logan Floodwatch group, then call it the Logan Floodwatch group. Don't call it something like the Big Bash fans who also happen to like floods group. You know, you're going to make it something which is going to be very appropriate to what you're actually going to be discussing and what your community wants in there. And your description is going to be what people from the outside, if you've got a listed group that people can search for, that's going to be how people will know whether this group is for them. So for instance, if you want to join in the Kath and Kim Appreciation Society, then knowing first of all that Kath and Kim is in the title and it's an appreciation society means it's a fan club. Then you read the description, which is, you know, we're all here to learn more about Kath and Kim, to share our amazing moments and to laugh and have a lot of fun at Kath and Kim's expense. And so you know what you're getting. And that's what you want. You want your title and your description to be, I know what I'm getting. Nothing just like crazy, nothing cryptic. Be very clear, be very abundantly clear about what your group is, what the value is that you're going to get out of that group, and some sort of image that matches that. So in the Kath and Kim Appreciation Society, it's usually a photo of Kath doing something weird, and like with the eye thing, which was a photo taken from a particular episode, which is very, very memorable for fans like myself. We know exactly the moment, what it was. We know exactly what happened in it. And that's the whole point, is those key moments. So you want something that really represents your community, or if your group is about you and your clients, then a photo of you. Why would you have anything else? It will be all about you in that case. But putting photos of products and logos for groups is often a really misplaced thing, because a group is not about a product. It's not about a business. It's about a group of people. It's about a community of people communicating with each other. Once you've got that, then you're going to start inviting people. We're going to start inviting the world to come and see with us. But before you send it out to the 500 people that you're allowed to send it out to per day, depending upon whether you're in Facebook jail or not. Sometimes a key is, sometimes it's not. I'm sure Kay's gone through this 100 times. Oh, today I can invite people, but tomorrow I don't seem to be able to. What's going on there? Start with people you trust at first. And that is the people who you know are going to have an interest in what you're going to do in there. And they are going to be interested in not just what the content is, but interested in forming the beginning of that community. They're your early adopters, your people who believe in your vision or in your mission of whatever you're doing this for. They believe in it as much as you, and they really want to be part of that. And these people will be able to watch that group and moderate it when you're not around. They'll be able to add content to it when you're unable to add content to. These are the people you're going to inherently trust with not quite the keys to the kingdom, but at least the ability to be able to operate in there, either on your behalf or on behalf of the community. They help keep things on track, not necessarily by booting people out, but by keeping the conversation going. And then when you get in there, post something that invites conversation and makes it feel safe for other people to contribute their voice to it as well. So you're not just going in and just going, hey, everyone, welcome. It's like, yeah, that's pretty common, the hi, everyone, welcome. But you want to do something which enables people to know that there's a next step. There's a contribution they can make, inviting them to post their opinions, start a conversation yourself, just post something that makes it feel like not only am I picking up some ideas here from someone who's posting, but I'm actually being invited to respond, to react, to even put on my own things as a part of that community. So if you have you don't have post approvals turned on, you want people to just come in and post whatever they like as long as it's relevant, well then yeah, invite them to do that. Actually have something in there that invites them to. Again, I said this in my last webinar just before this one, that we're very smart monkeys, we humans, but what we often need to be done is told what to do. And unless you tell people that it's okay for them to post and regularly remind them that it's okay to be part of this conversation and to try something out, where they're not living in fear of the mods coming in and tearing strips off them, then tell them that they're okay to post, and then invite them into that conversation and have some kind of call to action to invite responses when it comes to the things that you're posting as well. When you're going into a group, your group needs to have a very clear purpose and very clear goals. Otherwise, it hasn't even got a chance of even going anywhere. If we don't know what something's about, we're not going to buy it. We don't know, if we don't understand what this widget is, we're not going to buy it because we don't know how it fits into our lives. So if your clear purpose and clear goals for that group are to connect people in the Wolfdean area with the latest flood information or the latest emergency information, we know that anything that happens in that group is to do with that title. It's to do with Wolfdean, flood information, survival information, emergency information. And when people start flooding with the, come and join my crazy essential oil MLM club and all that, and they start posting those kind of things, and you go, okay, that's out of topic, kick it out. And then you've got something which then has a clear purpose, a clear goal, and it keeps things to topic, and it doesn't become confusing. So the more relevant, it doesn't become confusing for people who thought it was about one thing and then they got in there and it ended up being something else, because these groups can take all sorts of directions of their own, which means you need to have an ultimate goal for what your business. Now, you're a small business owner. I'm a small business owner. We're all small business owners. What's our ultimate goal for this group? Why the heck are we coming up with a group in the first place, apart from being told by someone, oh, you need that because pages have no algorithmic weight anymore? So we go, okay, to work that out, we have to go, well, what are we doing? Are we doing this to grow our personal brand? Is it somewhere where you are interacting with people as their guru, as their coach, as their consultant? Or are you positioning yourself as a community leader? If you've got a group in there that's all about the Nightcliff dog walkers group, and you are positioning yourself as someone who is looking to go for as an alderman or as a council member in your local area, and dog walking is a particular thing that's very important in your neighborhood, so you're positioning yourself as the chief dog walking authority in Nightcliff? Or are you associating your business with a movement? I'm working with a security company at the moment that's starting up a new campaign all about being safe and being secure at home and at work. And there's going to be a big campaign they're running. They're sponsoring it. They've come up with it. They're doing it. But what they're doing is associating themselves with it. So instead of setting up a group for their security company, which would be boring as batshit and no one would care, it's all about now creating content that helps people to become more safe and secure around their house and around their workplaces. So then this particular company, by being associated with that, is associated with the idea of being safe and secure. Like he said to me in this meeting last night, I'm doing this as a long play. I'm doing this as a long marketing campaign that will be, yes, it will benefit my business, but ultimately it's all about doing something I'm passionate about, which is people being aware of the safety concerns around their homes and around their workplaces. So it's a great way to start up a group about that, of how you can do this, and sharing neighborhood watch style stuff without creating vigilante groups. That lies in completely with the mission that will come with a security company. What you don't do in groups and sell them up for is setting up groups just to sell your products. If all it's about is selling something, then it gets really boring really quick and people just drop off. When people drop off, they will not come back. I know that there's a couple of, I'm probably members of hundreds of groups, but I only see probably about 3 of those groups ever come up on my feed. The reason is because I'm constantly working in those groups and being part of them and part of the conversations. All the ones which are full of people just spamming with their businesses and spamming with their, like all the community groups, the small business community groups, which are basically just a pitch fest of people just throwing their business cards in the mix. I don't see them anymore, and nobody really sees them anymore. But all these people are posting to them, like automatically. They're posting a post that goes out to 50 different groups with the same post, and it has zero impact. Those groups are pretty useless. Using it to recruit a downline for your network marketing organization is just, it's not going to work either, because as we know, network marketing and MLMs, you come, you go, it turns around really quickly, and people come in and go out very quickly. So it's going to be harder to find those things. And while it may be the one place where you seem to be able to get any sort of momentum as someone who's in an MLM or multi-level marketing company, it's still something which the algorithmically is going to struggle, because people come and go so quickly from it, and they don't stay engaged with it. And they stay engaged with those things for a very short period of time until they realize they're being ripped off, and they then get out of the group or start ignoring the group, and then the numbers go down, and then you've got no reason to see that showing up in your timeline again. It's also probably not a place where you just have like specials. So you say, hey, for my shop, I run specials every week. Join my group so you can get my weekly specials. We're less driven by specials than we probably think we are. If we were really super driven by specials, we'd still be walking in with coupons and only shopping for things that are on special all the time. And as a country, we are driven more about our habits and the things that we love, and like peanut butter. There's 13 cheaper peanut butters than the one I buy, but I'm still going to buy the one I'm going to buy because that's the peanut butter I love. Even if I joined a group that said you can get 13 tubs of this cheap peanut butter for the same price as your one peanut butter, I'd still would not go in there. We're not as driven by specials as we think we are. For students, though, that may be different. I've seen some great groups pop up about food specials for students in Brisbane, in Sydney, in Melbourne, even here in Darwin, where there's secret specials that are only available to students, and only students are allowed in that group to get those secret specials, because the owner of that business has specifically made themselves about getting students in for these cheaper food items that are not available on the menu elsewhere. So that's a little bit different. That's all of the places that are specials, driven by students who share with all the other students where to get those specials. It's not a group based around a takeaway that sells biryani and says, okay, well, this biryani, our biryani is the best in town. It's only $5.95 this week. It's not that. It's students sharing content in from where they've discovered the specials. So we're still in that whole deciding whether we're even going to do a group at this stage. The community goals and parameters are all about what do you want to achieve and how do you want to achieve it. So in a group, your mission needs to be something like your big picture impact you want to have. What impact do you want to have as part of your group with the world? Do you want to empower women to become the best that they can be as business owners? Do you want to find the savings that will make it much easier to let your student allowance go a whole lot further this week? Do you want to find 15 different ways to turn a fruit bowl from Kmart into whatever you want it to be? If it's going to be something, it's got to have some sort of impact on your members' world. What is the thing you want to do for the members of your community's world? What's the thing they want to know your group for? And then from the mission, we move on to what your community goals are. What do you want to achieve through your community to support your mission? You can have one goal, you can have many goals, and they're often just broad statements like, I'd like to see the engagement of this group increase by 30% over the next 6 months. Or it could be a goal that you've set yourself that I want to grow this group to 20,000 women in Southeast Queensland before the end of 2023, and have a reason for what that is. Because once you've set that reason, everything you do in your group is going to be leading towards that. And anything that doesn't lead to that is kind of superfluous and doesn't really contribute to your mission. So if your goal then comes to objectives, and these are very specific things, very precise, very measurable things that say, I want this many people by, I want this level of engagement by, I want conversation to be 80% on topic and only 20% off topic. That sort of thing where you're saying very specific goals, and that sets the tone for all the conversations in your group. It means then that things are on topic, things are specific, things are staying in the topic you'd like them to be, and it's maintaining a much nicer environment for everybody. And then you've got to measure it. How do you know if you're achieving those goals if you don't measure it? There's insights that you can use through groups that allow you to read things like engagement, things like your membership numbers. You can look at all that and see where you're going. If you're running your community through a Facebook page or an Instagram profile, you can read those things through insights as well to see how things are performing for you. By setting yourself a few KPIs or key performance indicators or goals, I guess, it keeps you on track. And then you know that in 3 months' time, okay, I've achieved those goals. I need to set new goals, or I didn't achieve those goals. What can I do to achieve those goals in my group? And then that all comes down to your values. If your values are inclusivity and accessibility, and you're constantly posting information which is written into a Canva post, but not into the actual group caption, the group post caption, then you're not being accessible, because that stuff that's on that Canva post cannot be read by people who are vision impaired. So understanding if your values are, we are inclusive, then you've got to understand that not everyone wants to be called a he or a she. Some people might want to be called they, and knowing that there's certain values that you take into it. They could be family values, they could be conservative values, they could be progressive values, whatever your values are that reflect your community, then you've got to know what those are before you start interacting in there. If the value is that this is a place of calm and peace, then starting arguments with people in comments is not the kind of thing you want in a calm and peaceful environment. Or if your value is that we're women supporting women, then it's probably going to say, well, we may need to exclude men from this, but then that make us excluding people based on that? Well, if it's a women's group, yeah, of course. I'd expect if I went into a place where it's men supporting men, that I'd probably have the same thing as well. So making sure you have those values straight up means that you keep everything on topic, your members are on topic, your members are aligned with your purpose, and then you can start producing really good content around what works, what doesn't work, and making the changes when things don't work as well. So in your strategic content decision, and Kay, you would go through this every damn week, I'm sure, of like, what do I put up this week? Or you're probably a bit more organized than that. You've probably got a content calendar that keeps you on track. But so many people get into these groups and then they go, oh my God, what will I post this week? I have no idea what to post. To do that, you've got to come up with some kind of strategy. You've got to understand, okay, with all those values and your objectives and all your purpose and your mission all sort of set there, how do you turn that into content? How do you turn that into stuff that people actually care about? How do you know what to post, when to post, and how to measure whether that stuff is actually working? So all of this is around considering what your mission is, considering what your objectives are, all those things we looked at before, and then also think about what platform you're on. Now, if you're on Instagram, your content's going to be very, very different than what it is in a Facebook group. But in a Facebook group, it may be very, very different than what's on a Facebook page. It certainly would be very, very different to what you post on Twitter, for instance. Groups are a different beast to pages and other social networks because they are very highly specialized to a very specialized audience. We think as businesses, we often go in and say, who is my target customer? Who's my client or customer avatar or my persona that I'm going for? This is so much more important in a group because it's a group of like-minded people who share common values, who share common interests, and therefore are a lot easier to target because you know what those things are. But you need to make sure that you're on the same platform and producing content for the same platform that they're on. If they are mostly accessing you via their mobile phones, then Canva graphics with 50 words on them and lots of complexity and all that, it's going to be lost. It's going to be a tap on it and what's that say? What's that thing say? Why couldn't she just say that in the post and have an inspirational image instead? So you've got that problem where most of us who are content creators and group moderators sit on laptops. I've got a big 32-inch screen in front of me. It's great, massive, love it, awesome. But my audience are not carrying that around in their pocket with them. They're carrying around a mobile phone with a smaller screen that has a lot harder for them to consume very complex content on. So you have to follow a few things that follow the kind of device that your community members are using. Get to know what your members like. You've got insights, you've got polls, polls are awesome for this. So you can just say, hey, would you like to see more audio content next week, or do you want to see a live video? And instantly you can get that feedback. If it's an active group, they will answer it and they'll be honest and they'll tell you straight up, oh, no more lives. There's so many lives on the, or they'll go, oh, actually, can you produce like a little infographic with the tips from last week's webinar? And you go, that's great. How would I know to get that particular content in there if I didn't ask people what they wanted? So use those tools to find out what people want. Mix it up. Sometimes just simple text is fine. Sometimes GIFs are amazing and fun, and memes are fun, animations, groups of images, infographics are probably the great forgotten thing that we used to do so much back in the 2010s. But now infographics are kind of like, oh, do we really do those anymore? Do people really want those anymore? Video seems to be the thing that everyone wants. What I've learned from most of the things I work in is that there's a mix. There's never just one thing. It's not always just a live video. It's not always just a pre-produced video. It's not always just a webinar that's been repurposed. Sometimes it's just a thought delivered by text, particularly when you look outside of groups and into other things like LinkedIn and Twitter, where text is actually what performs by far the best above everything else. But in Facebook, it's very much video. So you got to decide, do I just produce video or do I mix it up a little? I suggest you mix it up because it encourages others in the group to mix their content up as well. And you'll find they'll start to get a bit more creative outside of just simply typing text if they see you as the admin of the group also doing that, leading by example. Decide what you want people to do with what you're doing in your group. If you want them to go off and join a mini course for free, great, point them to it. If you want them to form themselves into groups or go into the learning, into your learning system and do a course, or you want them to fill out a form, you want them to watch a video, tell them. Just ask them to do something, but be very clear about what you want them to do. You don't have to go into great explanations. I know a lot of us fall into a bit of imposter syndrome and think, oh, I need to justify everything. It's like that person who they can't make a meeting. And we've all had this person. They won't just say, oh, I can't make the meeting, sorry, which would be great. You tick it off and you move on with your day. No, I can't make the meeting because my mum's like really unwell today and I need to go down the shop and get her the milk and bread, and then I've got to come back and then there's other webinar on and it's all clashing. God, I wish these things wouldn't clash so much. I'm so busy on Wednesdays. And you're sitting there going, would you just shut up? Just shut up. Just tell me whether you're coming or not. That's all I need to know. Thank you. Just the facts. So be very clear on that. Don't justify yourself. Like, just because I'm really feeling like I need to give you girls something more else to do with this group, I really would like you to do it. Now it's my first go, so please be kind to me. Shut up. Just give them a clear call to action. Say, I've got a great thing for you to do. Let's go and do it. Okay. And use the tools that support that. Use CapCut for your videos. Use Canva to create very clear templated content. Use layout to lay out collages, and boomerangs are fun. Use all those creative tools and apps to make your content better. You don't have to spend money on Adobe Creative Cloud to get great content. You can also just do it on your mobile phone most of the time. And a great way is to amplify other people's stuff. If there's something that one of your community members are doing and they might be a little bit shy about sharing it, ask them and say, hey, can I share that thing you did? I'd love to tell the story. And they'll go, oh, okay, as long as it's not me having to tell it. Yeah, great. And then you've got awesome content. And you just watch your group come behind those people and lift them up and tell them how amazing they are. It doesn't feel so braggy if you're the person as a moderator or as an admin who's sharing that content and helping to lift other people up. Even if it's your business that it's all about, lifting up other people makes you look like a hero as well. So you start to look great because you're the empathetic person that works with people. And encourage them to share their content. If you're in Facebook groups, let them share the content. You can still approve it. You can still put it on post approval, but just let them know, hey, we'd like to see what your example, like if you've got challenges are fantastic. Do a graphic challenge, do a photographic challenge, do a video challenge, and let people share their results in the group. It's fun, it's safe, because you don't have the outside world necessarily watching you. So the actual working around of insights, and I've got to be careful with time, we've still got a bit of time, using your page insights it's going to help you work out the times that people are most active, so you know when to post things. So Kay would be a special at this. Is there a time, Kay, where you go, this is the best time for me to post in my group?
First thing in the morning.
Amen. It's usually the case. It's amazing how many people are checking things as they're getting kids in the car and making coffee and making breakfast, and they're checking things on their mobile. And also like the first thing in the morning thing is also, it's gross, but the amount of social media that's conducted on the toilet is frightening, but also an opportunity, because it's a time when I've got 5 minutes to, the amount of social media that's consumed and conducted and written whilst people are seated on a toilet is phenomenal. It's because it's this one time where you're away from everybody, you've got your phone with you, and you can answer those things, you can post those things, and read. People are reading things that are coming up in their groups. It also teaches us a very valuable lesson. Don't touch other people's phones, because we know exactly where those phones have been. Post regularly. Your community needs to stay active. They need to stay engaged. If they don't, they drop off. And as they drop off, you drop off out of their feeds as well. So you need to have that consistent, not necessarily consistent, but it needs to be regular. You need to regularly have stuff coming out because it keeps everything interesting. Use a content calendar like Kay does. She knows exactly what's coming up in the next few days in her group. So prepare that content calendar in advance and schedule things using the scheduling tools, whether you're using outside tools like I don't know what tools do groups now. There's I think I can do it through Social Pilot. Sendable does it as well. There's others that will do that too, or by scheduling it within the group itself and using your publishing tools and Creator Studio and those kind of things to do that in. And then keep track of what you're doing. Make sure it's easily obvious and able for you to see how you're doing. So you don't repeat things that poorly perform, and you double down the things that do perform really well. And then optimize it, keep just changing, testing, test new things. Even if everything's going great, test something new anyway, because you don't know when people might get bored of something. When you start to see that trend sort of coming down a little bit, where people aren't loving your stuff anymore, that's the time to pull out something new, pull out something very, very new. If you need some ideas, look up trends like Google Trends and what people are talking about. Facebook IQ has got tons of articles and tons of reports that allow you to be able to see what's popular on Facebook. Hashtags are a great way of following what's being talked about on Instagram. So bring those topics over to groups, follow news. It's not hard for us to see what's going on in the world of news and then somehow tie that into the talks we have. But there's so much more that we can talk about with this. I'm not going to cover this today, like your member onboarding, all those processes you go through, post moderation, crises and conflicts and hissy fits and all sorts of things that can go down. But there's tons of that stuff in the Facebook Blueprint. So facebookblueprint.com, where you can learn more about that. This is more, I guess, a bit of an overview for you to know what it takes to start a group, the thought that should go into before you do it. Because Facebook is littered with tens of thousands of groups that all had the intentions of changing the world. And if only anyone actually ever saw the group or joined the group or knew what the group was, because the owner of that group never really thought through how much work it can take, how much commitment it takes, and also whether there's even a point to doing it, whether there's even a reason for them to start a group and grow a group and engage in a group in the first place. So have a read of those sort of things. Talk to people like the people on this panel. So we've only a couple of us on here today, but both Katrina and Kay have been part of Facebook groups and moderating Facebook groups, starting Facebook groups, growing them, shutting down Facebook groups, jumping into hissy fits and wars in Facebook groups and coming out the other side unscathed. So you've got like a wealth of people here who can help you out with that stuff. Back over to you. You got anything to add to that, Kay? Because I just totally went for like a talk fest there.
Yeah, I do actually. A couple of things. I am in Facebook land all the time, especially Facebook groups. I have two strategies. I have one strategy for my own group to grow it, and the other strategy I have is in regards to engagement in other people's Facebook groups. Some things that you need to be aware of that I know, Dante, that you're aware of in regards to Facebook jail. It is huge when you deal with groups, so be very, very careful. One of the things, and Facebook are not kind, sorry, they're not. They will turn around, and if you violate one of their community standards in your group, anybody going to join your group, they will tell them that that has happened. This group has allowed posts, not that I'm reading this off Meta, not off my own. This group has allowed posts that violate our community standards. Review this group before you join it. Well, that's one way to kill a Facebook group. Okay, they will take you down. So do the right thing. Facebook groups is not where you sell. The whole thing about having a Facebook group is networking. It's about creating something where people care. People don't care about you till they know you care. So, for example, I'll sit in the morning and I must be on over 100 groups. And I go in there, and I know Katrina's the same, because sometimes there's people in there that are looking for social media advisors or consultants that need help in certain particular areas, or web developers or SEO analysts and SEO consultants. So we're actually in there because that's how we also get business. We're also in there to give helpful advice. We don't do, we don't get paid for doing this, what we're doing now. We're doing it because we believe that as a community, we can assist you in different ways. And if you want more information, then hey, you've got to know us a little bit better. There is actually, I don't know if you knew this, Dante, but there is actually a group called Facebook Account Hacked Recovery. And it has 27,000 members. Okay, there are groups for everything. I have a group I used to work years and years, like 20 plus years ago, for Ansett Airlines. We have a group so that once a year we get together. It was like with all the storms that we've had, it was a quick check-in. Hey, is everybody okay? Do you need anything? That was it. We don't have to get to know each other. We already know each other. We've worked with each other. Other groups, it's how are you going today? Facebook will also suggest different groups that you should join. So it's community networking. It's not business. It is a way that somebody can find you or you can find them and suggest if they would like to work for you or come and work with you. One of the other things that I found very interesting with Facebook groups now, Dante, is there are some people that are monetizing Facebook groups. In other words, yes, you can join my group and you can come and watch, you can be a member, but you can't post anything. If you would like to pay us this amount of dollars per month, then we'll allow you to post. And so they're making a business of it through their group. How Facebook's going to look after that, I am unsure. Do you know?
So it depends on which way you're going in through it. If you're using Facebook's own monetization tools to run all that, or whether you're doing things like Patreon and stuff outside of that to allow people into those, it's going to be pretty much up to you. There's no indication that there's going to be, that you have to use Facebook's monetization tools or you have to use their particular payment methods to do it. I think there'd probably be like a riot that happens if you have to use that and you can't use your own, Stripe account or PayPal account or things like Substack, which is really useful for taking payments for access to content, access to groups. At the moment, there's no really indication on making much change to groups in terms of monetization at all, except for allowing you to be able to do it. I think it's just been such a hunger to allow people to do it.
So Facebook has no problem with you monetizing your group?
No, it's one of those things. You can monetize a live video, you can monetize content. There's no problem with you monetizing a group. There's nothing in the terms of service or in the community standards that say that you can't.
Yeah. So one of the ways that I would suggest that people start to look at is in regards to their personal profiles, who their friends are, and grow their friendship group, grow their friends first, and then from that create a group that those friends can join should they wish to. Then what you're doing is that you're talking about specific things. For example, I have a group and it's all to do with social media. Now, my friends and my family don't care about social media, but my group does. And that's how that's growing. Look, it's a different avenue for Facebook. There is so much noise on Facebook. What you're doing is actually segregating it. So, you can get to the right people at the right time. My last thing before Katrina drops in is I don't actually use a lot of Canva on my Facebook groups. I sit in bed with my morning cup of coffee and Facebook has a great thing where you can put all these colors, all these different illustrations and things and just type short worded text of what you're after. Katrina.
Thanks, Kay. And Dante, amazing insight into, constructing a group and managing your groups. It's I think one of the things that having ran or at least collaboratively managed a couple of Facebook groups myself, one of the things I guess that people tend to struggle with is engagement, and I think Dante really kind of hit it on the head there with focusing on their interests. I think I resonated with that completely, because people don't want to join something to have more ads thrown at them, so it's the same with email marketing. You don't necessarily want stuff just sell in your face, but you do want to resonate with them on a personal level or an interest level. So I can 100% back that. What I think, excuse me, sorry. One of the things that I guess comes to mind is, you know, you don't know who exactly you're necessarily letting in to your group, especially if it's a public one. So I guess, you know, coming from a smart question approach, I guess, is what would be the best way to, you know, vet those applications to join your group?
Having those filtering questions at the beginning when the people are joining helps. If someone lies in that and then they go forward and cause havoc, well, it's very easy to clear people out. But there's also no comeback for them. If they said, I agree to these rules, I know what these rules are, and I said I'd follow them, and then I don't, then it's my fault for getting kicked out. It's not something, it's not the fault of the moderator, it's not the fault of the group. It's that person has refused to comply with what that group's about. So I think you can save yourself a lot of trouble down the track by just getting those things right up front, knowing what your values are, knowing what you want to achieve, knowing what's right and what's wrong in your particular group, and being very clear about it. So there's not a lot of ambiguity. There's not a lot of, yes, but I interpreted that as meaning. Just be super, super clear. So it's like, if you start hate speech, which is anything about misogyny, androgyny, misandry, to do with people's lifestyles, to do with people's races and anything like that, be very, very clear. When you say we don't tolerate hate speech, be specific about what hate speech is. If you're not tolerating people, no promotion of businesses and advertising businesses except on Wednesdays when we allow you to, and they do it on Tuesday, they've broken the rules. And you can always refer back to that. It's like, hey, Wednesday, when we do that, we don't do this on Tuesday. And so just be very, very clear what those rules are. Get it right up front. And then you can start kicking people out in the future if you need to. But at least you've got a reason for why you did it. It's not just, oh, I just don't like you, so I booted you out. It's actually, dude, you keep breaking the rules all the time.
One of the best rules that I saw in one of the groups was, if you have to ask admin, please delete if not allowed, we'll delete straight away, because if you can't be bothered reading the rules, we're not going to post it.
Love it. Love it. It's one of the most annoying posts you'll ever see in any group is, please delete if not allowed. It's like, if you don't know if that's the case, if you can't understand that may be against the rules, well, then naturally, as a common sense human being, you probably should say, if in doubt, leave it out. But if someone's not going to do that, they want to read the rules, they're too lazy, they deserve to be booted. Get rid of them. They're adding no value to the community. I'm strict in communities.
Definitely. I think it's good to keep in mind as well that you've got the ability to approve a post before it goes up as well. So that probably, I guess, if you do have to do that repeatedly and you haven't necessarily been strong enough in that instruction or being clear in outlining those expectations, then that's a fail-safe.
Good thing too, because you can set certain people who can post without needing to be approved. If they're your valued people who are consistently producing great content, reward them with not requiring approval. It's like in the Facebook Boost with Facebook Australia group, I've got permission to post straight away because I'm trusted by them and contracted by them to be able to do that. But not everyone can do that, because otherwise we'd be full of the whole forum would be just full of people saying, I've been locked out of my account, Facebook sucks, Facebook it's the devil. And you can't have that all going, because that's not what the purpose of the group is for people to have a rant. It's for a purpose of ourselves and other business owners to help support other business owners in what they're trying to achieve on Facebook, rather than technical support.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely brilliant session today, guys. I'm going to finish it up there with when you're obviously with Facebook, you're socializing, you're obviously we're talking about things from a business perspective and we want to promote ourselves, but I think the biggest message that we can send out to everyone growing your business with Facebook groups, so not necessarily, you may not necessarily want to invest your time in a Facebook group. You may want to promote yourself in other people's Facebook group. All I can say is add value. Don't try and take. Okay, don't take, give first. And if there is an opportunity where people say, hey, I need help, blah, 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 can you recommend someone? You can put yourself there, you can put yourself forward. Or if you know someone else, you can go can you recommend, you know? And that's one way. So you have smart partnerships, and you connect with people on social media. You connect, hey, guess what? Surprise, surprise, you can connect with people on social media. So that's one of the ways you can utilize other people's Facebook groups without treading on toes. So add value. And I'm going to finish up there. I do need a glass of water, goodness. It is 2:30. It is the end of our session today. We thank you for joining us. And once again, I do hope and pray that everyone stays safe and dry in the next week. And please do make sure you contribute if you can, if you're available free and you don't have little ones to look after. Please do make sure that you find some way to help your neighbours if they need help this weekend on Clean Up Australia Day. So my heart goes out to everyone. We love you all, and please make sure you subscribe to Digital Toolkit to get the best tools, tips, and advice to grow your business online. Goodbye for now.